Hello everybody, my dear friends, my dear English-speaking followers, astrology lovers. Welcome to my channel. My name is Olga Vasilichuk, and I would like to share with you today a very small, refreshing video about the upcoming retrograde phase of Mercury that will last from November 16 until December 6, 2018. My friends, Mercury will leave its third and the last retrograde phase of this year 2018. And during the two previous videos, about the two previous retrograde phases of the current year, I repeated myself, at least partially, which is logical because everything is cyclic, right, in this universe and in astrology also. And I wouldn't like to repeat myself today, for the third time. I would like to share with you the information about Mercury in a different way. I will remind you the dates of the retrograde loop and phase of Mercury. I will give you the dates of the aspects that Mercury will form with other planets in the context of its retrograde movement. I will remind you what activities you would better avoid during the retrograde phase of Mercury and what activities would be favorable to you, but only if your Mercury in your birth chart is direct. If Mercury is retrograde in your natal chart, its retrograde transit movement will be extremely favorable to you, okay? And I'll characterize the transit of Mercury retrograde for the 12 houses of the horoscope, but I don't mean here the symbolic houses. Like, for example, if I'm Aquarius, my solar sign is Aquarius, the sign of Sagittarius, in which Mercury will start its retrograde movement, will be for me the symbolic 11th house. I don't do the such predictions, okay? I consider that it's more profitable, more useful to analyze the transit of this or that retrograde planet, or, for example, to analyze the ingression of a slow planet in the following zodiacal sign, considering your real houses, the real houses of your birth chart. For example, the cusp of the 9th house in my chart is situated in Scorpio, and midheaven is in Sagittarius. So for me, Mercury will transit by my 9th house, the real 9th house, even though the sign of Sagittarius would be the symbolic 11th house for me, okay? So I will give like 2-3 sentences for the transit of Mercury by each of the 12 houses of the horoscope, okay? So in order to apply my advices, you would need to know the exact minute of birth, your time, your minute of birth, and the position. You would need to know the position of the cusps of the houses in the signs of the zodiac in your birth chart. All right. So I remind you that the retrograde loop of Mercury started on October 29th. Mercury will get retrograde on November 16 in the 13th degree of Sagittarius. It will enter again in Scorpio on the 1st of December, and on December 6th it will become direct in the 27th degree of Scorpio. And on December 24, Mercury will will finish its retrograde loop. So what is recommended, what is not recommended to do during the retrograde phase of this planet for those who have Mercury direct in their birth chart? To start a new business or a new studies program, to register a business, to open a store, a salon, etc., to look for a new job and to sign the contract of a new job, to sign all type of contracts, agreements, collaborations, titles, to hand over important documents and certificates to official bodies, To buy or to exchange an apartment, a house, to move. To rent or to lease premises. To buy or to sell appliances or other equipment, means of transportation and means of communication, computers and cell phones. Phones, some of you use phones, not only cell phones. To lend money or to borrow money. To make a trip to a new place you never visited before. To send letters, documents, parcels of value. To bound new friendships, to start to engage yourself in new friendships that you count on in the future. What is recommended to do during the retrograde phase of Mercury? To complete previously started projects and to solve old problems. To clean desktops, to tidy up papers and documents. To review old archives, to reread books, to throw away papers, little things and useless things. Little useless papers and things. To return to one's roots, to one's origins. To inspect the darkest and the hidden corners of the house or office. To review old contracts and conditions of cooperations that you started in the past. To search for new premises in which you will be able to settle after the end of the retrograde phase of Mercury. You may search for new premises, but you should not sign any contract of rent. To meet old friends, to renew old ties, to edit and to rewrite what was written before. So there's a general classical recommendations and advice. Okay. So what about the three aspects that Mercury will form with other planets during its retrograde phase? On November 26, Mercury, being in the 6th degree of Sagittarius, will form a square with Mars, and this aspect was already formed on October 19th, if you remember. I remind you the symbolism of this square Mercury-Mars. It can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts in the relationships of a team. Use liberated energy peacefully to achieve common goals. We may have tendency to impulsive reactions, to the hurry, to poorly designed solutions, to make poorly designed decisions. Inconsistency in words, irritability, and unfair criticism will characterize us. Possible mechanical damage, transport problems, useless conflicts about trifles, clumsy jokes. We should not verbalize what we could regret later. So if you already lived the situation described by this aspect, square Mercury-Mars on October 19th, the situation may come back to your life again. Maybe for sure offer you an opportunity to find the solution of this conflict, okay? Because the aspect repeats the second time. Like almost the same day, on November 26, 27, Mercury will be in conjunction with the Sun in the 4th and 5th degree of Sagittarius, and the conjunction Mercury-Sun, as you know, for sure, I hope, marks the middle of the retrograde phase and loop of Mercury. It's the beginning of a new cycle of Mercury relatively to the Sun. And there is another planet that joins this conjunction. You know, Jupiter, which entered recently Sagittarius, will join the conjunction Mercury-Sun. So we will have a stellium in Sagittarius. Mercury retrograde, Sun, Jupiter in the 4th or 5th degree of Sagittarius. Conjunction Mercury-Sagittarius was already formed, you remember, on October 29. You remember just before the ingression of these two planets in the sign of Sagittarius. But this conjunction was formed in Scorpio. Now it repeats in Sagittarius. So the conjunction of Jupiter with Mercury and the Sun gives a lot of fire, energy, positivism, optimism to this new cycle of Mercury, which is marked by the conjunction Mercury-Sun, okay? I remind you the nature of the conjunction Mercury-Jupiter. This conjunction offers us opportunity to benefit from contacts with rich and or famous people. These are excellent days to work with any kind of information, to study, to memorize something, to pass an interview and or an exam or a test. This is a good day for shopping, including purchase of expensive items. The aspect will reveal the capacity of the broad vision of the world and will create the need to speak or to reflect on the values of life. We already reflected on the values of our life during the first conjunction Mercury and Jupiter on October 29. So we will get back to this activity for sure around November 26, 27, and Jupiter expects from us to visualize, to make bold plans, to dare to dream. Jupiter will help us in this until the beginning of the next retrograde phase of Mercury. So get advantage of this gorgeous stellium in Sagittarius, okay? And the third aspect of the upcoming period that I already mentioned in the previous video on the new moon in Scorpio on November 7th, Mercury in Sagittarius will be in square with Neptune in Pisces from November 14th until November 19th. This aspect will never become exact because of the retrograde movement of Mercury, but this aspect will greatly influence the entire period when Mercury stops and begins its retrograde phase. Not only these days from November 14th until November 19th, but until the end of the retrograde phase of Mercury. There may be errors in handling documents, confusion with the correspondence, tickets, etc. We'll have to recheck any incoming information. We have to try to lose nothing and to mix up nothing. In general, of course, this is a configuration which is not too favorable for all mercurial themes. Mercury square Neptune. In addition, Mercury will be retrograde. It will be more than risky to launch new information projects and to buy something, especially means of communication and means of transportation. Now, what about the transit of Mercury by the houses of the chart? If you are sure about your minute of birth, if you know what happens in your chart on this part of the zodiacal arc, the sign of Scorpio and Sagittarius, so Mercury will pass and remind you so you have to check what happens in your chart between the 27th degree of Scorpio and the 13th degree of Sagittarius. What house of your chart is situated in this part of the zodiacal arc? So the transit of Mercury retrograde by the first house of your chart. Get ready for a trip back in time. You can be visited by the feeling of déjà vu when you live again what has already happened. You may see misunderstandings when others perceive your jokes as insults. Too much self-promotion can have the opposite effect. When instead of being recognized, you receive criticism. Take your time to review the list of your priorities. The transit of Mercury retrograde by the second house of your chart. It's a good time to work with financial documents, to check accounts, receipts, checks, to analyze costs and revenues. Now cash flows can be hindered and delayed, so it will be nice, it will be good to revise the budget and to limit spendings. It will be possible to receive money that you have not been paid yet, for example, for work, for a one-off mandate, or it could be the repayment of an old debt. The transit of Mercury retrograde by the third house of your chart. Express yourself clearly, avoiding any ambiguity. You may be misunderstood. It is not recommended to start new projects. They will disappoint you in the future. But go back to the unfinished projects. Complete what needs to be improved. It's possible to renew the relationship with the person from the past. There is a risk of transport delays, of problems with documents. The transit of Mercury retrograde by the fourth house of your chart. You can find a lot of problems to resolve regarding your household or your relationship with parents. During this period, construction or renovation work in the apartment or in the house may slow down if you do them. Renovation works or if you are building a house. Misunderstandings may occur with parents and family members. Contradictions, frictions with your relatives and family members can be a source of stress for you. The transit of Mercury retrograde by the 5th house of your chart. Maybe an old love will come back. It may be a friendship request of a former lover in a social network, or a call from the person you have not seen for a long time. Maybe you should give another chance to the relationship of the past. Think about that. In the existing relationship, you will discuss the past with your partner. Old stumbling blocks may appear again on your way. The transit of Mercury retrograde by the 6th house of your chart. Take your time to take care of your health and hygiene. Lead an active lifestyle. Go to the gym. Eat healthy food. Walk more often. Unfortunately for you, during this transit, there's a high risk of injuries, so you must be more careful than usually. Listen to the signals of your body. If you want to criticize someone or yourself, remember that there are no perfect people. Nobody is perfect. The transit of Mercury retrograde by the 7th house of your chart. Possible misunderstandings in relationship with the partners, disagreements with the spouse, with the loved one, or with the business partner. Draw the right conclusions. This will allow you to reach another level of mutual understanding. You will definitely look in the past. You will think about the past. You will try to find in the past the keys that you may use to solve your today's problems. The rebirth of the link with the person of the past is very probable. The transit of Mercury retrograde by the 8th house of your chart. You may feel emotionally closed, or you may be caught by suspicion and jealousy. If you see that the darkest side of your personality appear on the surface, say thank you to the universe and work on yourself so that the inner renewal takes place, which will bring changes on the outside level. Problems with the money of others, with the resources of others, with the taxes, loans, debts, alimony, successions, etc. may be relevant. The transit of Mercury by the 9th house of your horoscope. Various restrictions will be a source of irritation. These restrictions can be related to work, to love, or simply to a general attitude towards life. You can reconsider your ideas and beliefs. You can get in touch with the higher self, and some of you will find your true mission. Other group of you may be interested in spiritual teachings. You will discover that the reason for restrictions lies in your own beliefs that limit you. Get rid of at least some of them and you will live a fuller life. The transit of Mercury retrograde by the 10th house of your chart. There may be misunderstandings in contacts with authorities, with the superiors, with people of high social status, or with the representative of governmental bodies. Instead of going into conflict, you should seek ways to reach an agreement by all forces, by all your forces, by all means. Whatever is your rank or salary, you are the master of your own life and you create your own life experience. The transit of Mercury retrograde by the 11th house of your chart. You may encounter problems with the friends or with the community services. Conflicts with friends, conflicts in friends' circle are very probable, or a friend can risk to let you down, unfortunately. Be aware of betrayals and detractors. Remember the following saying: if you have nothing well to say, do not say anything at all. What we say in such cases: speech is silver, but silence is gold, right? And the transit of Mercury retrograde by the 12th house of your chart. There will be desire to feel sorry for yourself, to recall the problems that you have had to endure in the past. You risk to get lost in the swamps of emotions, remembering old wounds, the lost love. Fear can appear from the depth of the subconscious. Instead of diving into all this, take this opportunity to get rid of unnecessary charges. This will allow you to find your peace of mind. You can also find an activity that will allow you to distract yourself, or you may find activity that will allow you to help others, and this also will distract you. This is it, my friends. Use the advices properly, constructively. Good luck for the retrograde phase of Mercury. Thank you for your time, and I talk to you very, very soon. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.